Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the body. So I rise against this bill. You know, I believe in school choice, and I think that anyone who wants to send their kid to a private or religious school should be free to do so, but not at taxpayer expense, especially when the taxpayers have no control over what the funds are being used to teach. By expanding this tax credit to $200,000 to individuals, this bill significantly reduces our state coffers, with the lost revenue ending up in the hand of private schools. And in the 2018-19 school year, more than 94% of these scholarships went to religious schools. Thus, the bill forces all Montana taxpayers to fund religious education in a significant way. With the current limit of $150 tax credit per donor, there may not be a significant impact to Montana taxpayers, but by increasing the limit more than 1,000-fold, this bill creates a major conflict with the First Amendment's prohibition on state establishing a religion and with the Montana Constitution's limitation on funding religion. You know, in some larger states, there are religious schools from different religions, but in Montana, there's not the population density for any minority religion to have a school, and that's not likely to change anytime soon. So the state program either excludes members of minority religions from participation in the state program, denying them a valuable state benefit, or forces them to subsidize another religion's education. If taxpayer resources through tax credits are going to fund these programs, I think it's important we know what these programs are that we're sending our money to. And that, for me, is a big part of the rub. While I can't know what's said inside the classrooms in these schools, we've combed through the textbooks used by many of the schools that have received this money. We found numerous instances where they denigrate other religions and their adherents. For example, one says that Hinduism is a false religion, calling it superstition. One of the textbooks derides Unitarians as unbelieving preachers and describes Mormonism as, quote, a cult that teaches, quote, false doctrines. Similarly, that book criticizes a number of other religions.
Representative Staffman, we need to stick to the bill here.
Mr. Chair, I think if we're spending money, if we're sending money to these schools, we should know what these schools are teaching. Is that not part of the bill?
No, we're talking about tax credits.
Mr. Chair, I'm a little confused. If we're talking about tax credits, say, to preserve elk, could we not talk about the benefits of preserving elk?
No. No, we're not talking about school curriculum. We're talking about tax credits. Stick to the bill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. The problem with all this is that Montana does not, and constitutionally cannot, limit the religious content of the teachings at these private religious schools. And so in the end, this bill results in Montana taxpayers funding the teaching of children's materials that are offensive to other taxpayers. Most important, this will inevitably divide us as Montanans. I want to close by being clear. Montanans have a right to send their kids to any private or religious school they wish, but they shouldn't be able to require the rest of us to subsidize their religious choices and institutions. If you think that Montana should not be endorsing a particular religion and funding a particular religion, please join me in voting no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.